All right, Shalom. First of all, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Salutations to all the brothers and the few sisters out there. Unto his like foreigners, on the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Shalom in the Hebrew, which means peace. This was breaking news today. This is kind of a heavy thing right now. I mean, a wise man will see that because this is the house of cards is breaking. Is broken. It's falling apart. We let it play a little bit.
We have explosive breaking news to report. U.S. Counterterrorism Director Joe Kent resigns over the war. In part of his resignation letter, Iran posed no imminent threat. This is an amazing, amazing development. I can just tell you that the political courage that it took, the moral courage that it took to resign is in this position at this time, especially when the war has just started, is just almost unprecedented. It may be unprecedented. There may not have been anything like this. Definitely hasn't been any kind of an example of moral courage of this caliber in my lifetime. It is absolutely amazing. And I'm going to get to some of the details of what he said in this post in his resignation letter. But just real quick, in case you're not aware of who Joe Kent is, he is the #2 guy at the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. He is the deputy for Tulsi Gabbard. And just so you know, you may recall, if you're new to this channel, you may not know, but I was almost the #3 person at the ODNI at the beginning of the Trump administration. I was tapped to do that, had been accepted, and was literally hours away from joining the staff. And I would have been the #3, so I'd have been working right alongside and maybe a little bit below Joe Kent. And I had the opportunity to meet him in the process of getting ready for that job before I was supposed to start. And I thought he was a fantastic guy. And I've often wondered.
I mean, that's not all the stuff that he's bringing them up, but overall, what happened is one of Trump's personnel resigned. And the key thing that he said in his resignation is that Iran posed no threat to America. So the #1 thing that should come into somebody's mind, if there is a terrorist attack, this guy just pretty much told the story without telling you the story. So he's going out there. Well, he left the Trump administration because you see the corruption. And what's so significant about this guy? Not him per se. Let's not forget this guy's picture because that was Joe Kent, right? Google. What's so significant about the guy was that he came in on some revenge shit, right? And his revenge shit was this is the guy, Joe Kent. His wife died, I believe, by ISIS member or something like that. So he has the patriotic feel to everything. And he came to the conclusion, all right, so imagine you a man that's dedicated to this new craft of yours. So somebody's wife would never get killed by a terrorist. And then you come to realization that the very organization that you attended um, to work for is more corrupt than anything that you ever can imagine. Okay, and you decided, you know what, I'm better off without this, and that shows you that he knows something that if anything does happen, is not of these other nations. Okay, that's what's the problem. And normally Trump would sit there talk shit about um, people that leaves him, and he couldn't say nothing because I was about this is the same guy who's breaking it down, but he's kind of talking too much right now. But he was basically saying that Trump can't really say nothing bad about him because the guy is like more of a patriotic symbol. All right, I think he does say why. Let me just see if I can get it. Hold
Both
on.
he and Tulsi could continue on with this job, knowing how they felt, knowing what they thought on. And listen, this is a guy who has got combat experience, has lost his own wife in combat as well. You'll more on that in just a second. But listen, let's get right into the substance here, folks, because this letter here is absolutely political dynamite. This is going to have
And what he's saying is absolutely true. I think I was listening to it. When it happened, it was live, and Trump was still yapping his trap about the whole EU members not helping him out. So if you don't see the symbolism of him talking about his allies and within his own government, people are slowly leaving him. And also today, he said a lot of top-ranking officers is just saying no to this guy. It's clear as day. They know it's a fucking problem. They know this man is a problem. But let me let it play.
Implications that are going to ripple across the country here. It's going to ripple all the way into the White House. And just by the way, we'll just put this out there right away. You can count on the fact that President Trump will be demonizing this guy probably within hours. I haven't looked at his Truth Social yet. We'll see if he's put anything out of it. But you can count on it because that's what he does. He demonizes anyone who says anything unflattering to him. And believe me, folks, this is about as unflattering as it gets. It is truthful, but it's really unflattering. Let's take a look at this. This is the actual letter that he signed. And he says, after much reflection, I have decided to resign from my position as the director of National Counterterrorism Center effective today. I cannot in good conscience support the ongoing war in Iran. Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation, and it is clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby.
Right there, that's the most damnedest thing that you could say today. All right, and that right there shows you the least of the flock shall draw them out. All right, he said it, and everybody and their mama knows. But for him, somebody that's within that administration to say that, that's a monumental shift. All right, what are they gonna say? He's anti-Semitic. Oh, and I was watching Fox, and, and then the guy was he couldn't really talk shit. One of the guys in Fox couldn't really talk shit, but then he tried to backtrack and say about these small hat wearing motherfuckers and how they get this bad outlook, but it's evidence, bro. You some things you just can't hide no longer. All right, there's a lot of things that you just can't hide no longer. So I'm saying that's whew.
Let that sink in for a second, folks, because here is the number 2 guy in the office of the Director of National Intelligence, somebody who loves this country and has worked hard for it, is saying this, what we've been telling you since before this thing ever started. It's been self-evident, but now here we have an official at the highest levels confirming it, who was working in the intelligence directorate itself. This guy knows what he's talking about, and this will not be easy to brush aside and say, oh, well, if he was some liberal or whatever, somebody against the president. No. In fact, he goes on to say in the very next part there, I support the values and the foreign policies that you campaigned on in 2016, 2020, and 2024, which you enacted in your first term. Until June of 2025, you understood that the wars in the Middle East were a trap that robbed America of the precious lives of our patriots and depleted the wealth of our prosperity of our nation. And he goes on to talk about some of the things that he liked. But then we get into the real political dynamite. This is it right here, folks. Let this sink in too. Early in this administration, he writes, high-ranking Israeli officials and influential members of the American media deployed a misinformation campaign that wholly undermined your America First platform and sowed pro-war sentiments to encourage a war with Iran. This echo chamber was used to deceive you into believing that Iran posed an imminent threat to the United States, that you should strike now. There was a clear path to a swift victory. This was a lie. It is the same tactics the Israelis used to draw us into the disastrous Iraq war that cost our nation the lives of thousands of our best men and women. We cannot make this mistake again. And then he kind of bolsters his credibility. And folks, this is unimpeachable. You may not like, if you're a President Trump fan, you may not like the embarrassment that this causes. Don't care, because this right here is the God's awful truth. It is the gospel. It is reality. And he writes, as a veteran who deployed to combat 11 times, and as a Gold Star husband who lost my beloved wife Shannon in a war manufactured by Israel. He's even going back to
I said manufactured by Israel. What should come into mind? Hold on, a couple of scriptures, several scriptures actually. I'm sitting here listening to what this man's reading, and it's like, yo, Psalm 64 and 8. It says, so they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. So that goes to the whistleblowers, the insiders. People are snitching. People are telling. All right. They can't hide it no more. We coming to realize there's a great division within Esau. The house of Edom is completely divided. Even the outside, which is Russia and America, but even within the nation, even in Israel, those Israelis, those rats, are fighting amongst themselves. The Orthodox versus the modern. I don't know. All right, there's a lot of videos popping up. There's like a civil war going on amongst them. So for this man to have in his administration somebody to say he quits, and he's telling them straight up like, I'm quitting because you letting these people tell you what to do, and the same thing that you've been telling us, you're not doing the same thing. You're not about that. That's damning. All right, he's saying the quiet, the he's saying the obvious thing outside, so everybody can see and everybody's hearing. So they can't condemn this man for saying that because he's quote unquote a hero who lost his wife in combat. All right, but it wouldn't matter with this administration and these individuals. Okay, so we seen all levels of the Lord really decimating the house of Esau. All right, Luke's 11 and 18. It said, if Satan also be divided against himself, how can his kingdom stand? So how is this man's kingdom stand? It's not. It's divided, right? You got the U.S. allies are not aiding, don't want to help this man, don't want to help this administration with for the Straits of Hormuz, right? Everybody's rejecting it. Some people say, oh, we're thinking about it. He asked all those allies. That's why there's another thing. They're saying he first, we winning so much that we don't know what to do. So now we need help. And when you watch the regular cartoon, the Cartoon Network of that's called Fox and CNN, mainly Fox because Fox is pro Democrats. Even when this guy goes up and tell the world that the news media is fake news every single 5 seconds. All right, they're saying they use the word help, but he said it out of his own mouth. He don't need no fucking help. He doesn't need help. That's what he says, right? So there's a great division among them, and we're seeing the house of cards falling apart, caused by the person that's on top, and it's beautiful. All right, this shit ain't gonna last. This whole fairy tale that they have created for themselves ain't gonna last. All right, Isaiah 19:2. I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, which are in this case the Babylonians. Matter of fact, I saw that one. The burden of Egypt. Behold, Yahweh rideth upon a swift cloud, which is talking about the world, what the world igni call a UFO. When Yahweh Shai makes his return, he's coming in the most mightiest chariot of them all. Okay, upon a swift cloud, and shall come into Egypt, which is America. Egypt, modern day Egypt is America. All right, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved. And that goes from the celebrity personnel to the AI, okay, to the idols that everybody's all familiar with. Everything's gonna move at the presence of the Lord because everything's gonna shake at His presence. And it says, "I shall be moved at His presence, and shall, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it," which is gonna be those ICBM nuclear missiles. It's gonna melt this place. It says, "And I will set the Egyptian against the Egyptians." And so you could call it the Americans versus the Americans. Okay, the MAGA movement, which is completely shattered now. This is a big deal. All right, they could pretend that is not. It is a big deal because what the information that he just said, which is saying the thing that's loud, who's responsible? All right, why they doing it for? And if anything, basically, if anything happens, it's not because the Iranians did it. So he's like, because they've been throwing that thing in the air. Oh, Iran plans to attack California. All right, Iran this, Iran that, and not one information that's adding up. So basically, if it comes, it's not because of Iran, it's because of the actual government. All right, and I completely forgot that there's still a partial government shutdown, and that partial government shutdown, the TSA, ICE, all of them, they out of business. So it's perfect. It makes perfect sense that something may happen caused by the American government to give ICE all the power that's possible. So this man is in war with every single thing, everyone, every single thing. All right, that goes for Iran, Cuba, like I said, Venezuela. They folded. All right, here in the shores of America. Oh, they own allies. Okay, they own Europe. Doesn't want no part of what they cooked up. It says, "And they shall fight every one against his brother, and every one against his neighbor, city against city." So that means all the different states. There's gonna be fucking wars within the states. All right, and kingdom against kingdom, Russia and America. So so this whole thing is gonna collapse. It's collapsing right before our eyes, and there's gonna be more tellers of what's going on within the White House. So I guess he didn't get that guy didn't really have his clearance. I guess he wasn't really part of the whole thing. He was just there to be there. He's not part of that inner circle for him to make that statement. And this is going to be a ripple effect of catastrophic proportion. And everybody that knows that whole entire, that's why Pam Bundy and someone else said it too, that if they arrested everybody that was in that Epstein file, the whole system would collapse because there's corruption at all levels. All right. This whole entire government is corrupted. And all they do is manifest and put together a wicked, evil plan to take away every single person's rights. All right. It says the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof. So this whole that's what we're seeing. We're literally seeing the spirit of Egypt. That's why the holiday spirit is dead. Okay, people don't feel the same. It's everything is failing. This whole bravado America is failed. Everything is falling apart right in front of our face. Like nothing is standing. Merit is not standing no more. People are having enough. It says in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof. And this is why they make these stupid mistakes. Like the scripture says, I have to get that. Always got to get this scripture. And tomorrow they're gonna downplay it. Like, oh, it is what it is. A normal day. Um, Jeremiah 50 and 24. It says, I have laid a snare for thee, and thou art also taken, O Babylon, and thou was not aware thou art found and also caught because thou hast strived against the Lord. So the counsels that they're taking is telling them the wrong thing. All right. They're giving them wrong advice. But the Lord set up a trap. That trapping right now is in the Middle East. And what's ironic about the whole matter, we're winning so much, we don't know what to do. They get annihilated. Okay. They said what he said. He said the Navy is destroyed. The Air Force is destroyed. He said the other day he said for something good measures or something like that. We'll just keep bombing them. All right. Today they said that a couple of top guys in over there in that side got taken out. But the word in the streets is there's mutiny within the ranks of America. All right. When you have people that's not even willing to take the commands of president. So you got mutiny in the army, you got mutiny in the navy, you got mutiny over here. Bro, this is like a complete division within something that's coined its name of calling itself the United. There's nothing united about this place. All right. And it says, and I will destroy the counsel thereof, and they shall seek to their idols. Go to that thing, Project Looking Glass. Always bring that up. All right. Going to things that they're familiar with, to those demons. And those demons set you up. And if it's true, I'm not saying it is, if it's true that BB is in a spiritual realm, he left you stranded. All right. He left your ass stranded. He left Trump stranded. He left his fellow um, Rattateers stranded. So, yeah, asked out. And he left you a bag that you can't get yourself out of. All right. You can't get yourself out of this situation at all. It says, and the charmers and them that have familiar spirits and the wizards, that's what they lean on. So you leaning on that, what is you leaning on that? What is going to get you? How are you going to get out of this situation? When you literally have mutiny within your own cabinet, all right, your own personnel. Nobody wants to be on your side. It says, and the Egyptians will I give unto the hand of a cruel Lord. And it proves that. They're not united. They're not proud about um they're not proud about America. And people catch amnesia quick. Just a few months ago, people was getting snatched up. taken to never be found ever again. Oh, they forgot about shit real quick. All right, because this king Trump Nero 47 has gotten you into something that your ass cannot get out of. It says, "And the fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord of hosts, and the waters shall fail from the sea, and the rivers shall be wasted and dried up." And we know what instrument can do that. Let me go back to this real quick.
Manufactured by Israel. He's even going back to the 2003 war. We've always blamed it on President Bush, but he's saying here, and again, this guy has I think his background is also in other intelligence in the past, and obviously his position was here. This guy knows what he's talking about. He lived it, and he has access to everything. And he says that it was manufactured by Israel. The 2003 Iraq.
It was manifested by Israel. You can't. It's fine. Everything's coming out. This is like a telltale. This is like a telltale business. Everything's coming out. Luke 12:2 says, "For there is nothing covered that should not be revealed, neither hid that shall not be known." So the word is. It's not conspiracy theories. It's conspiracy fact. The conspiracy, which means within, to breathe it within. All right, the facts, which is the truth. That's the thing that is being known. All right, the jig is up. The jig is up. The world knows. The world sees. And what the world's seeing, who's really responsible for everything, which goes back into this. I mean, not going back, but Revelation 12 and 20, 20 and it says in 7, "And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loose out of his prison," which now we see why he's called Satan. All right. And who was that was loose? Esau. Not talking about a spiritual demon that was locked up somewhere in the middle of nowhere and all of a sudden he got loose. No, it's talking about these devils. Because when they came out with that period called the Renaissance, like a bat out of hell. All right. That's probably why they use that. They came out guns a blazing. Okay. It said, "And they shall go out to deceive the nations." And that's the key point. And who's responsible for deceiving all the nations? The small group of individuals that runs this show, that runs this world. All right. And they dictate to the world what they want them to be. And their track records speak for themselves. Over 108 nations kicked them out. That recorded. And wherever they go, there's always an issue. And they always come to find out they have this, they're a massive deception. Who was responsible for the transatlantic slave trade? Who benefited from that? Who's responsible for all the things that's going on in the world? So they went around going deceiving everybody. Hey, whose mantra is for the slogan of their organization, the Mossad, is called, it says, to deceive by any means. They do. These people are not about the truth, they're about deception. So every war, and we come to realization, every war is bankers' wars. Every action has diabolical consequences behind it. Come to find out that the reason why, which is the Lord anyway, we know that for a fact. They're attacking Iran because they found resources. How did they find these resources without even being there? That's why they got the HART program. Because when they use the HART program, it gives them a certain signal stating what this particular land has it. That's why they in this great land grab. All right. It says, which are in the four quarters of the earth, which is northwest, southeast, all around the world. Gog and Magog together, which is Russia, to gather them to the battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea, which is talking about the multitude of nations, all right? Which now they're using this Revelation 16 and 16 a lot lately because they know the prophecies. So we're dealing with a diabolical people that's purposely lying their asses off to get their ultimate desire, which is world destruction. But not realizing they falling right into the hands of the Lord. Because this is the Most High's masterful plan. It says, Revelation 16 and 16, it says, he gathered he gathered them together unto one place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon. Once you break it down in the Hebrew, it's Har Magadwan, which means mountain of troops. That gathering, we're seeing it right now. They're about to be a freaking draft. 16, I'm gonna say 18 to 26 of men. Now they're talking about, oh, they got to consider women. So, like a brother put in the chat, there goes the YN problems. But with this new revelation, which is nothing new for us, we know is happening. The disparity of that administration, the Lord have them in straits, difficult times. All right, things are not going the way they want things to go. That's why he's crying to everybody. We need help. And then he's trying to play out. Oh, we don't need their help. We don't need nobody. The Americans, the Babylon army needs help. They're running out of material. They're running out of missiles. And Iran, they don't. It seems like Iran doesn't matter. They don't matter who you take out. They're gonna keep fighting you to the very last. So you could send forth the Marines, 10,000. You got. There's nowhere in Persia, Iran, that you're gonna go and be able to take the place. Same Vietnam. You're gonna be met with the greatest resistance that you could ever imagine. All right. And what the Lord's gonna do with all this great gathering, they, like I quoted it, the least of the flock shall draw them out. They're drawing them out to be destroyed. In verse 17, the seventh angel poured out in his vial into the air, and there came a great voice out of the temple of heaven from the throne saying, it is done. So the reason why they're having so much people going in the Middle East, because Russia's going to get involved, China's going to get involved, all right? Eventually the EU is going to get involved. They're probably going to be looking at America like, yeah, you be at the forefront. But something's compelling at all the nations of the world to go into the Middle East. All right, they're being drawn to the Middle East. They're being drawn to their own destruction, without understanding that vow that's going to be poured upon them. It's not going to be a blessing. It's going to be the destruction, because the Lord is going to gather all the cockroaches in the world and pour upon them His wrath, which is going to be in the form of ICBM nuclear missiles. All right, they're going to get nuked. The kingdom come. So all this is proven is that this administration is weak. Everything's going to lead America to its own demise. All right. With that being said, something quick to the spirit.